You're still in the tutorial of your life. Imagine this. You're playing a game, you finally beat the tutorial boss, or you pass the tutorial, the game opens up. You get new areas, new weapons, new enemies, new quests, everything that you've been waiting for. The game that comes to mind for me is Dark Souls, right? You are in the asylum or whatever, the prison. You beat those hollows that don't really fight except the ones up on the second level. You get your starter weapons, and then after a couple tries, you beat that big fat flying boss guy, and you leave and you go to the Firelink Shrine. And the place that most people will go from there is Undeadburg. But instead of moving forward, you turn around and you go back to the Undead Asylum. And not because the game takes you there later, right? I know that you have to go back later to fight the that second boss, um, or to get like a slab or something. But you go back because Undead Burg is too hard. Not because you have to, but because it's comfortable there. You already know how to beat all the enemies. You know their attack patterns. You figured out the trick to rolling around that big fat boss thing when he does his like butt slam attack or whatever, so you never die. You never struggle. So you stay. That sounds ridiculous. No one plays games like that. That'd be boring. But millions of people, probably billions of people, most likely you, live your life exactly like that. Most people graduate school and then they spend the next 40 years doing work that doesn't challenge or inspire you, staying in relationships that you've already grown out of, avoiding conversations that could change the rest of your life. You keep repeating routines that make you feel safe instead of the ones that make you feel alive. Not because you're incapable of more, but because we have all confused comfort with peace, and they're not the same thing. Comfort asks nothing of you. Peace is earned by becoming that guy, by becoming somebody capable of carrying more. There's a reason that the best games make you fight harder enemies. It's not because the game is trying to punish you, it's because the game is forcing you to grow. If every boss was as easy as the first one, the game would be boring. Your character would never need better weapons. You never need to level up. You wouldn't need new armor. You wouldn't need to get better at parrying, right? Or learn any new game mechanics. Difficulty is what creates progression, and life works the exact same way. The promotion that you're not qualified for yet, the business that feels too risky, the conversation that you're avoiding, the city you're afraid to move from, that's not life telling you to turn around or stay put. That's the next area. And in video games, what's the easiest way to know you're going the right way? If there are enemies ahead, right? That's how you know you're going the right way. Marcus Aurelius wrote that what stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, the place that you're resisting, whether it's a physical place or a thing, a task, that's often the place that you're meant to go. Carl Jung believed that every person has a version of themselves waiting to be discovered, but you're never going to meet that person while you're fighting enemies you've already learned to beat. You have to leave the area that you've mastered. You have to become under leveled again, right? You have to feel awkward, weak, inexperienced, because that's what every new zone feels like, but that's what the previous one was for. The previous area, maybe you're not actually like in the real tutorial, right? Maybe the tutorial of life is like elementary school. But just because you've passed elementary school, just because you've passed high school, most people progress up until and through college. They get a job right out of college, and then they'll hop around two or three times, and then they'll stay put forever. That's not the life. Your life doesn't end when you're like 25, but that's what most people are doing. You have to feel weak again. You have to feel awkward and inexperienced because that again, that's just what these new zones feel like every single one. That's why the greatest heroes always leave home. Frodo leaves the Shire. Naruto leaves his village. Dante, I mean, he leaves prison. He probably wanted to leave prison for lots of reasons, but still, the story doesn't begin when you're comfortable. The story begins when you step into the unknown. So let me ask you, what area of your life have you already mastered, but you're pretending is your whole world? Maybe you've outgrown your current level. Maybe you're supposed to feel underpowered again. Maybe that's not a sign that you're failing, but it's proof that you've finally entered the part of the game worth playing. Because the greatest tragedy isn't dying to the next boss, it's becoming so comfortable in the tutorial that you forgot that there's a game beyond it.